Blogtalk Radio.
Batcave call-in special. I'm your host, Batmobile, and tonight we're going to be talking about recent important topics in the news that we all know the mainstream media either purposely misses or chooses to ignore. If you'd like to talk to us about anything in the world of politics that's really bugging you, give us a call. Now, on tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the Republican debates. Who do you think is winning and why? We'll also be talking about Sarah Palin. What's the real reason she's not running for president? I'll tell you what I think. There's also some word leaking out that Israel is about to attack Iran. What do you think about this? And what should we all do to prepare? On the second half of the show, we plan to talk about Wall Street protesters and how they're spreading throughout our country. We're going to be having conservative blogger Mark America with us to tell us what he thinks. And before we go any further, I'd like to introduce the lady who will be working with us on the switchboards tonight for tonight's show, our own Batgirl, Beth. How are you tonight, Beth?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing good. So what's in the news today that we should be talking about that you think?
Well, I heard Gaddafi got killed.
Yes, he did. Well, that is that good news? I think maybe people think, well, yeah, that's good news. And it is. You know, every time we can get rid of a dictator, that's really good news. I'm sure everyone in Libya is celebrating. But what's it really mean? The Muslim Brotherhood will be taking over the Middle East sooner than expected. That's what I think. And, of course, they're going to be trying to destroy Israel. And should they succeed, then they'll be trying to do the same thing to the United States after that. Remember, they want to destroy the little Satan and then go after the big Satan. And with the Muslim usurping puppet that we have in the White House today fully endorsing them, we all better be prepared for what's to come. Now, I don't know about you, but I really wanted Mr. Gaddafi to live a little longer, perhaps all the way through the 2012 elections, so that maybe we'd have a chance at seeing the Muslim Brotherhood slow down a little. I don't know. You know, that's just my opinion. I know that it's a good thing that we have one less dictator in the world, but I don't know what that means, if it means that the Muslim Brotherhood is now going to basically barrel through the entire Middle East on their way to towards Israel. What do you think of that, Beth?
I'm not really sure exactly what I think. I know that we have to really watch that the Muslim Brotherhood does not get their foothold in. And on the same instance, we can't let our troops be spread too thin either. So it's very scary, in my opinion. Well, very, very scary.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because our troops are being, they're very thin. Right now they're thinned out all around the world. They're everywhere in the world. In fact, I hear that they're being sent to the Middle East now in preparation for a war, perhaps, with Iran. So we're going to be talking about that a little later. Let's talk a little about the Republican debates Tuesday night, though. I'm very curious where this is going, because to me it was a joke. What a joke that was, really. Doesn't it seem like these debates are just becoming more embarrassing with each new one? I mean, what's with Mitt Romney and Rick Perry? They're like becoming the itchy and scratchy of politics, like bopping each other over the head every chance they get. How presidential do these two clowns look, taking cheap shots at each other on the stage? Mitten's desperately, he's there lying, trying to defend himself from his own words in his book, and Perry is constantly interrupting and refusing to stop. He's acting like a dictator. Look, guys, if we want a liar or a dictator, we don't need a new president. We might as well just keep the commie, narcissist, illegal alien that we already have in the White House. Now shape up or leave the stage, And what did you think of Anderson Cooper?
I think he was definitely baiting them.
He was.
He wanted to see a fight.
Yeah, he really was. He baited the GOP, and I think that the only one who didn't take the bait was Newt Gingrich. So I think he came across as presidential. I like Newt. I personally think that, outside of Sarah Palin, he's probably the one who's most complete and competent to to try to take the country back. But I don't know if he's got enough funding to make it all the way to the top. I hope he does, but I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, Beth, what's the call number that people can call in by if they want?
Actually, I was just going to say that. Actually, the calling number is 323-679-0958, or you can Skype in by pressing the little blue button that's at the top of the the show page.
Very good.
And that makes it very easy. But what you were saying about Newt and everything, I've also heard that Michelle Bachmann moved up a little in the ratings after the debate, and I'm glad for that because I think that she should be up further.
I like Michelle Bachmann. I really do. Go ahead.
I would love to see a Bachmann-Newt ticket.
That would be good.
Either one on top. I don't care because they're both constitutionalists.
I agree. That's very good. And outside of Sarah Palin, that's who's there, who's left that really is on our side. We can talk about people like Herman Cain. I like Herman Cain, but I'm not too crazy about the 999 plan. I really I don't think that's fair because when you think about it, isn't that a little towards being that's what communism is basically. It's like, well, let all the states be the same. So if everybody's working on this 999 plan, what's going to make all 50 states be independent? They're not. We're basically going to be working.
Wait, I thought that his plan sounded like it was going to be a good one when he first talked about it, but then after the debate and the way he kept fumbling, at first it was when he was promoting it, he was saying to throw out the current codes,
right,
and then just put the 999 in, and that sounded like it might be a good deal. But if he's not throwing out the current codes, and it's going to be a 9% sales tax on top of the sales tax that we already have.
Yeah.
In some states, like New York, it's 8 3/4 the last time I checked. In New Jersey, it's 7%. And then there are, of course, I forget which candidate said it, but there are some states that don't have any sales tax. Right. And they're not going to like that.
Well,
so it's an ill-conceived notion unless he can sit down and actually explain it a little bit further and tell us what he's going to eliminate in when he replaces it with this.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know that, I agree with the fact that we do need something. So, he opened the doors, and that's good. I give him credit for that. I don't know if 999 is the answer, but I'm glad that at least he's saying that we've got a problem, We just cannot stand by the status quo anymore in this country. We're at the point right now where we're beyond the breaking point. We know that we've got somebody in the White House who's doing everything in his power to break us down. He's basically trying. He'll say that he's trying to create jobs. He's not. We know he's not. He's trying to basically destroy jobs. He's destroying the private sector. He wants basically, a Marxist government. That's what he wants. He wants this country to fail, and once we do, we've got nowhere to fall back on. We're not going to bounce back up if all these jobs start closing. You're not going to suddenly see all the plants reopening once they close. It doesn't work that way. So we have to hang on here until we actually get a very decent American president who wants to work with the American people into office. And we have to do everything in our power to make sure that person is elected. Now I thought for all this time, I thought Sarah Palin was going to be that person. I love Sarah Palin. I think Sarah Palin has, everything that it takes to be the next Ronald Reagan, shall we say. But, I really feel in my heart the reason that she's not running is because she was bullied by the communists or maybe even the rhino crony capitalists. Because they, you look at what she did. You look at her bus tour. Did that look like just somebody going on a vacation? She went to Iowa. She went to New Hampshire. These are caucus and primary states. And you just don't do that.
Hi, this is the Batcave. Who am I speaking to? Hello? Hello?
Run, we can't guarantee the safety of you or your family.
Hello?
What's happening in Congress, where everybody, we all know, it's not a secret anymore. Everybody in Congress knows that the Congress knows that this man in the White House is not legally in office. We know that. But why is it that they say nothing? Don't you
Hello, this is the Batcave.
You and your family will be safe. But if you don't, and if you tell anybody anything, we can't guarantee the safety of anybody. So it's very scary because, yeah.
Excuse me for a minute, but I think I accidentally might have cut you out a couple of times just then because I was trying to answer the phone.
Okay.
And forgetting that I'm not on as the host, I was clicking the wrong button to go into the board. So there was a 347 area code number trying to call. If you could call us back, I'd really appreciate that because I got it straight this time. And I hope I didn't cut out too much. And if you were missing anything, just let us know so that we know to repeat what we just said.
Well, I was just basically saying that I think that Sarah Palin was bullied out of running for the elections. I think that somebody got to her, and because it's just there's too many things that showed that she was going to be running, and it just it didn't it didn't make any sense that she just out of nowhere said no. So if I don't know, she doesn't look the same now for some reason to me. She looks like she doesn't have that fire in her belly anymore that she had. And it makes me kind of, feel like we're missing out on the best candidate because she was. If anybody saw, did you see the undefeated? If you saw the undefeated, she's by far the most qualified candidate to be president. Not only to be president, but to take us out of this communism and whatever this is, Islamianism, whatever you want to call it. It's just terrible, But we need somebody that's that strong to take us out. She's fought corruption from both parties in Alaska. She has the record. They just, the reason they let her run in 2008 is obvious. It's because they didn't know who Sarah Palin was. Now that they know, it's a different story,
It sure is. And we have coming into the show with us right now is Patriot Pat. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Batmo, how you doing?
Hi, Pat.
Hey. How are you, Patriot Pat?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing good. What would you like to talk about tonight?
Everything. Well, you were just speaking about Sarah.
Right.
And, of course, that came as a big crush. But, you and I, we discussed this before concerning her not running. And I think, like I said, speaking as a mother, grandmother, I think that she stepped back because she felt that it would be too much on her, her family, her life. I do believe that.
Well, you know what? Let me ask you this, Pat. If that's true, why did she run in 2008? Because it's the same thing to be vice president or president. You've got the same burdens. Why? What made it different? Think about it. Her family was even younger back then. They needed her even more. So why, unless somebody got to her, why would she just suddenly say, you know what, I don't want to do this?
Well, it's she was the governor of Alaska, way up on the other side of the country, and I'm not trying to dismiss that in any way. But when you're busy, like if I'm in the house and I'm babysitting my grandkids, that's my priority, and I miss a lot of what's going on outside the world because I'm making them my priority. Alaska was her priority. And then she had this wonderful opportunity to become vice president of the United States. And, it's not that she was a fish out of water, but I think that what happened during that time when McCain didn't win is that she started, educating herself more about what's really going on in the rest of the country and the world, and also D.C. And I think that she started realizing there's something really, really wrong going on here. And being Sarah Palin, of course, she's not going to sit there and hobnob with all them and let's all get along and let's make our money and she was definitely going to go in and clean up.
Right.
And I think that she was overwhelmed by what she was going to clean up. And then, like I said, Obama, even with the country itself, I mean, he has us going in this direction while he switches over in that other direction. And, you know I'm one of them that as soon as I get up in the morning and grab my coffee, I'm like, what did Obama do today? Because that's how quickly he switches around, and he's got things going on. He's got us distracted. And, of course,
it's been nonstop.
Sarah,
what he's done to America has been nonstop. We don't have a chance to rest. It's just one after another. It's just against the American people, day after day after day since he took office.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
I'm also wondering if I know that there was a slight hoax not some hoax, but a misunderstanding when people thought that Sarah had changed her affiliation on her Facebook page from Republican to conservative. People thought, well, maybe she's going to run under the conservative ticket.
Right.
And everybody got all excited over that. And I'm not going to dismiss that as yet, even if it was a misunderstanding, okay? Because why else would she be going to places like Korea and India and all these other places and do that whole bus tour? It just doesn't make sense to me to throw all that away, okay? And it's possible that she's just doing like Ronnie did, waiting until it's in there, like maybe November or so to maybe go ahead and say something. But, I don't know, a lot of people I know are still going to write her name in on primary.
Oh, I'm definitely going to do that.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, exactly, because that's the only way the American people can let her know, look, we're all behind you. We understand your feelings, but this is a time where, you have to think of the country because we're in that bad shape. And, I've had Stephen Bannon, who was the director of The Undefeated, which is a great movie. It shows everything that we need to know about Sarah Palin. He's been on the show. I've also had Frank Aquila on the show. He was the author of Sarah Palin Out of Nowhere. In fact, it was Frank Aquila himself who suggested Sarah Palin be on the ticket in 2008. He wrote the book.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
Yeah, and I've also had Joe Miller, who ran for Senate. Remember last year he lost the election to that commie Lisa Murkowski in probably a fixed election because it was all commie run. The unions took it over. But anyway, they all know Sarah Palin, either personally or just by her history, and they all agreed with me that definitely she's running. So something must have happened at the last moment to have changed her mind. The way she just said, well, she's not running, unless somebody caught up to her and said, you know what, you don't run or else. I can't understand it.
That's why I'm not discounting the fact that she may run as a conservative because the GOP ticket has just gotten to be the same old crony, almost communistic look that the Democratic ticket has.
Right.
So, not going for the GOP could just be because they don't have the ideals that she has.
That's true.
Well, maybe because they didn't support her either in any way.
Well, it's because she did her own thing. She was cleaning up corruption from both parties because that's the reason that Sarah Palin is so good. It's not. She doesn't just have one enemy. It's not just the communists say, well, no, she's definitely done the other. No, it's the rhinos don't want her. The commies don't want her. See, the only people who want her are the American people who are conservatives and want the free way of life.
I feel, too, that even this tour, it was like I thought it was great, not just for her but for her children. I think she was this was almost like a family project where she was traveling the country. I'm sure her kids are like, Mom, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Because I hear this from my own kids. And then when you bring them to these places, to where their history was made, and living in New York, there's a lot of history from here all the way up to Philadelphia and Boston.
Right.
And it gave her an opportunity to go among the people because Sarah Palin, she has become a force to reckon with. She, especially when she opened up her emails, and to be told by world leaders all over the world that she's probably the most honest politician that ever lived in history. You know,
well, think about that. How scary is that to know that somebody with that kind of power and that much decency is basically not being allowed to run? Because whether they did get to her or not, let's say the commies didn't, it's the pressure that she's feeling, you know, from everything, all the people, everything that they're saying and doing against her. That's got to be the biggest influence of all in the decision she made. So is it really fair that they did all this to somebody who's so, you know, she's such a decent person? It makes you wonder, what does this world come to, whether decency is now the minority, you know, or bad people, or there's more bad people. I hope that's not the way it's happening right now, but if there's more bad people than good people in the world, we're in real trouble. You know?
But, you know, when you're in a you know, say you know, for instance, make it like a mob crime family, because that's pretty much what it is. That's what I think the union is. I think that's what Congress is. It's just all this mob mentality, and all of a sudden, you know, you got the people outside, your brainwashed slaves, whatever you want to, I don't know what they call it from in there, but then all of a sudden you got this one person, you know, like standing high on the hill there, and she's just this shining star, and of honesty and decency and morals and principles, and oh my God, they must have been, you know, they're shaking in their boots. They were shaking in their boots. For them to come down as strongly as they have on her, and even the Tea Party and everybody, the independents that follow her,
right.
You know, it's got to be terrifying. You know, it's like being at some kind of like orgy, and then all of a sudden Jesus shows up. You know you're going to be in trouble. There's no doubt. You know you're going to be in trouble. So don't open the door. Don't let Sarah Palin in, because we're all screwed if we do.
Well, see, I
think that's pretty much it.
You know, it bothers
her
me.
decency really scares everybody.
Well, what about Congress? Because when we think about it, look, everybody in Congress knows that this guy is not legally in power, okay? So why doesn't anybody speak out? And we're talking about really important people who are brave. You know, Alan West, one of the bravest men that we have. You know, he was in Iraq in the war. What is silencing him?
Yeah, I really admire him.
Yeah, so what is silencing him from saying, you know what, let me have a press conference and tell the American people the president is not legal. We all know that. Unless they're holding something on them. What are they doing to them? Are they saying you're guilty?
Yeah, they could be holding. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, are they saying, are you guilty? You already you know this, and the American people know that you know this, so you're guilty of treason. And if you say anything, if we swing, you'll swing. That's probably what they're telling them.
It could, like I said, I think it could even be more than that. I mean, it's you join their little club. You know, there was a movie I think called The Firm, wasn't it, with Michael Douglas, where you know they collect all this dirt on you,
right?
To where now they own you, because otherwise they will screw you to death. They will destroy your life. They'll destroy your family. They'll air your affairs, whatever the hell you're doing. And to me, that just goes to show what's in there. You know, you got to.
You know, I'm glad that you brought something like that up, Pat, because it really cracked me up when they went in and opened up all of Sarah's emails and everything, expecting to find some real dirt on her,
right.
And they got nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. They cannot
come on,
find
Beth,
anything
if they
on
opened
this
your
woman.
email, would they get anything, Beth? If they opened your email, I know I wouldn't want nobody opening my email. You know, I'm being honest here. I mean, for a person to do that, the honor and the integrity that she must have is, you know, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So when you got people that are all sleeping together, because they all sleep together, and they all have something on each other, and I think it's said that, you know, that like I said, that mob mentality, that criminal mentality, you know, this false, it's a false honor among thieves, where, you know, you get caught, you go down, you don't rat nobody out, you take the heat for everybody or else.
Right.
You know, and then you know, okay, so they're all in it like cahoots together, and then in walks Sarah Palin, and they don't have nothing on her, anything at all on her, and she's got the power, she's got the control, and she's a big threat, and I think they let her know what a big threat she is, and I think, you know, like you said, traveling around the country, even going overseas, I know she was very welcomed in even South Korea.
Yeah.
And,
oh, yeah, big time.
You know, Yeah, she's a voice for America, the true voice for America.
Well, but you're right. You're right. But where are the American people? I mean, if the American people, why couldn't the American people say something like, "Okay, you've invaded Sarah Palin's emails. Now we insist that you do the same thing for Barack Obama." Why can't the American people say that?
Because
they'll place an executive
I mean, they take them to court. They bring them up on charges. They go before Supreme Courts. I mean, it's not like people have not done anything. The people have. It's just that it gets thrown out of court. It disappears. It's poo-pooed.
Why can that be thrown out of court, yet they can invade Sarah's privacy immediately? Just grab it and say, yeah, here they are. Here are the emails. But it has to go through court for the usurper.
Because they all sleep together and they're all covering each other's butts and they're getting away with it.
Amazing.
It's not until we go there and take them out. Whether with a boat or whether by physical force.
Well, that's going to be the last resort. Nobody wants to go there. But let's face it, we've had the vote and we've had people. We went in last year and we voted in many new Tea Party conservatives, but they, like everybody else in the Congress, are still keeping quiet because they're now part of that team. You get indoctrinated once you get in there. It's like, okay, these are the rules. Now you're one of us, so you have to listen and do this. We don't care what the Tea Party people are telling you to do. This is what you have to do if you want to play, ball in D.C. And that's the problem. We need to get rid of that. If the people, I think at some point people are going to say, you know what, the vote is not working anymore. Because if you have Tea Party people, no matter how decent they are, and they've all been properly vetted, and you vote them in, and all of a sudden you want them to clean up corruption, and they're not addressing the issues the American people want, how do you fix that? Short of a revolution, how do you fix that?
Well, something, I'm glad that you brought up the vetting, because this is something, I don't think that there is enough vetting done, and I think that when they do this, that the American people should have access to all the findings and all, like a final report saying this person was vetted and this is what we found and this is, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like how do we know that they really vetted anybody?
Well, it's not only. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go on a smaller scale here. Is that I even know, because I'm very involved with the judicial system here in New York, and one of the things is, people were supposed to, vote in judges, for instance. You used to have to vote for somebody running for judge to get them into a courthouse. Now everybody's appointed. Sleep with me and you get appointed.
Amazing.
And like I said, the Brooklyn courts, I'm more involved in the Brooklyn courts than any of the others. I feel that Manhattan is more decent than Brooklyn, but they got their own thing going on. But I know here in Brooklyn, it's, the judges and the lawyers, by the way, that seems to be all who's up on that hill is a bunch of lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all, you're in this district. I live in Brooklyn. I'm a lawyer in Brooklyn. I'm licensed in Brooklyn. Or New York. But meanwhile, most of my cases are in Brooklyn. I'm going to see the same judges every day. So I need to learn to get along with them. I have to end up, and then, of course, it's the corruption. And then, of course, a lot of Democrats in there. And then, then you go to court and, like, say, in my situation, I was married to a Teamster. I went into court. I didn't stand a chance in hell, and this is how it snowballs. It just keeps snowballing and snowballing, and it's a matter of, okay, we're all slime, but we're all sleeping together, and we're all making money, and let's just not look outside the windows. We won't look outside.
I don't know that I trust lawyers in politics anymore. I think that Abe Lincoln was the last one to be trusted. I mean, when you think about what's taking place right now.
Don't forget John Adams. Well, John Adams was.
He was before. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. It seems to me that they have this little clique together where everybody belongs, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the far left or on the far right. Once you get into politics and you're a lawyer, you're one of them. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't translate very well in the political arena when here we're talking about a president who's corrupt, and we look back at the past lawyers that have been president, like Bill Clinton, and you start saying, okay, at some point the word lawyer became the word liar. So, how do we make sure that in the future we don't get people like this in office,
Another thing, too, is this drowning in paperwork, because like I said, I'm just going to go on the judicial level here, is that, you could drown somebody in so much paperwork going every which way, and you got all these criminal charges and all this fraud and all this corruption, and it's coming in from all directions, and then you're just sitting there with this big pile of mess, and it's like, okay, my God, where do we start? And then, you multiply it by all those people on the Hill, it becomes such a mess. To me, I felt that Sarah Palin would go in, and if I hear, I just can't stand it because I still hear it. I just watched a little demo, a little video on The View that I don't watch anymore.
Thank
where
God.
Joy Behar was going up against Michelle Maklick, whatever. Oh, I can't think of her name. And, of course, she goes, she's going blah, 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 but she just wrote that new book on corruption in the White House, and Joy Behar's going, well, didn't Bush do that? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, I remember as a kid, we lived by a supermarket, and those kids used to steal watermelons. Okay, we used to grab watermelon, and everybody, we used to draw straws who's going to leap the watermelon, take off with it. Well, lo and behold, guess who got caught? Okay, so, and then, of course, I'm telling my mother, which, by the way, getting caught stealing in my house, you used to beg for death. Okay, please, Ma, kill me, okay, because it was like, forget about it, it was like the numero uno sin. And, and I did one of those things, well, Johnny and Timmy and Sally were stealing them too,
Right.
And it's like, oh, so it's okay then, Bottom line is,
I used to get the whole, if they jumped off the Empire State Building, would you jump?
Yeah, if Johnny jumped off the building, would you jump off the building? Yeah, okay, so that's the way we were raised, and I'm sure these people were raised that way too, because it's called the old days, I guess.
Right.
And, it's like, I would just go in, I'm sure that's what Sarah, God, I wish you would have. You know what? We're starting from here. We're just going to start from here. I'm going to take this. If it shows anything treasonous, corrupted, fraud, you're out. I don't give a crap about the rest of the pile. You're not going to have me all confused, going in all directions. You did this, you're out. Just get rid of them.
Yeah. I just wanted to interject here for a moment. I want to remind people that the call-in number is 323-679-0958, or you can Skype in. And we have 7 or 8 people that are logged into the chat board that are logged in as guests. I'd like to welcome them, along with Lori Arnold. And Lori has a question of how do we get Sarah to run and get to her to tell her that we need her?
I think the write-in vote is going to be crucial. I think in the primaries we're going to have to say, okay, do you want any of these people, or do you want to write in Sarah Palin? And at some point, if she sees that there's a lot of votes that went in there, that were written in for her, she's got to take note and say, look, maybe if there's a third party, this is not a conventional election. A third party can win. I've used this example in the past. What if in 1980 Ronald Reagan had not been allowed to run for the GOP because he was not part of their elite establishment? So instead they would have said, okay, how about we run Gerald Ford? Okay, so the Republicans would have had Gerald Ford, the Democrats would have had Jimmy Carter, and let's say the Conservative Party or the Independent would have been Ronald Reagan. Who do you think would have won that race? Let's be honest. Would the people want, Gerald Ford, we know what he's done. No, he's no good. Or do the people want Jimmy Carter? What, are you kidding me? He's killing us. Who would they have voted for? So, when people say, oh, no, because when you get a third party, it's just going to give the elections back to Obama. That's wrong. This is not Ross Perot we're talking about. This is Sarah Palin. Look at the record, people.
Yeah, and she's so much more well-known and more well-liked than Perot was. So I think there is a chance with that. And I did hear at one point that somebody was talking about maybe getting together a committee that would collect letters and actually bring them right up to Sarah, and that we should all write personal letters to her.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work, but I'm in.
Yeah, my favorite Facebook page that I hang out in is Palin Patriots, of which my friend Lori Arnold, who's on right now, is in, and so is Patriot Pat. But what's interesting about the people there is we're all discussing that. That's a possibility. How about we get one person and we decide, okay, let's get lots of these letters. Let's see if we can go in person and deliver it to her and just explain to her she is needed. Sarah Palin is needed. Nobody else can take us out of the mess that we're in right now. Nobody. When you look at the records, everybody else is going to be playing within the establishment. Everybody that's running is going to be playing within the establishment. We don't need that. You know what the establishment is? These people are working with foreign entities, the New World Order. They're trying to take over America. They're trying to destroy our freedom, our liberty. They're trying to introduce Islam, Sharia law into the United States. This is not what we want. We want our freedom. We want to go back to when we were free. We no longer need to be controlled by the Fed. We want to go back to the gold standard. We want to say, you know what? This is the United States of America. We have borders. Close the borders. Enforce our laws. That's what we want. And only Sarah Palin would be able to do that. I don't think anybody else who's running would.
Well, I am not prejudiced. I have absolutely nothing against immigrants. I mean, at one point somewhere in our families, everybody was an immigrant because the only natives here were the Native Americans, obviously. And I just want to see people come in here on the up and up and actually do it the right way. If you really want to be a United States citizen, take the time and the energy to do so. And if not, don't come in here and bitch about our country.
That's right.
Because our country is damn good, and it's the last free stand on earth, the very last. And, we were talking about the debates before, and I'm so sick and tired of hearing the mudslinging and the book promos and bullshit. Excuse my French, but it really is bullshit. I'm not tuning in to find out about your freaking book. I'm tuning in to find out what you're going to do for America. And I want to see them actually get up and actually tell us what their plans are to save the United States of America and to balance our budget and to deal with illegal immigrants and to deal with joblessness, Well, what they're doing on the stage is not telling me squat.
Well, you're right. That's the point of these debates. How many people, think about the debates, okay? Let's talk about debates. What are you going to ask these people? If you were there, what would you ask them? Would you ask any of these questions that we're seeing in the debates? I would ask, what are you going to do to break away from the New World Order? Why can't we go back to the gold standard? Why do we have to take orders from the Fed? Why can't we ban the UN? Why can't we close our borders? Why can't we enforce our laws? Why, it's just common sense questions. None of them will ask it. None of them. It's just a joke. What do you think, Pat?
I just I concur totally with you because I'm like I can't even stand watching them anymore because that's what it is. It's just, and it's like, well, this person is saying something I like, and then the rest is crap, and that person's saying something I like, and then the rest is crap. And I mentioned this to you earlier, is that people that I was able to, I don't like using the word convert, but they started opening their eyes, they're paying attention, and they're kind of looking up to me to like, okay, so, all right, this is all true what you're saying, so what do we do? Who are you voting for? And I am sitting there like a schmuck, because I'm like, I don't know.
It's frustrating.
I'm being very honest. And this is what's killing me, and this is what's going to cause Obama to win again, because.
And they're doing it on purpose.
I don't know.
It's just like what you saw with Anderson Cooper. He set up all those questions, and here we had the Itchy and Scratchy bopping on the head show with Perry and Mitt Romney. And, it's you look at it and you say, well, these people, they're coming across as clowns. Who's going to want to vote for any of these people,
Exactly. And people are like, well, I'm somebody will say, well, I'm pro-life, and okay, you're not going to get 100% of anybody because everybody has their own views and their own desires and what they feel is good for the country, And, because a lot of people, Sarah Palin doesn't like gays, and I'm like, look, do you really think gays is Sarah Palin's problem in this world? Okay,
Listen,
this lady
look,
has got
really.
big
this is what
problems
people need
to worry about, okay? Go ahead, be gay. You'll be okay. You're not going to end up, getting hung or anything like that. I mean,
this is what the problem is. This is what the problem is, Pat. The problem is that the left has been so properly brainwashed into their stupidity that they have no idea what they're behind. Just like these Wall Street protesters, they have no idea. Do you think that people? Let's face it. Most of the people that are protesting here, they're going to be the atheists, the gay, the people that do not conform to the regular society. So, do you think that those people realize that in supporting the liberal extreme left, they're also supporting Sharia law and Islam and the destruction of themselves? Because when they come here, they'll be like, okay, let's kill every gay, let's kill every atheist. If you don't believe in Allah, you're gonna be killed. You have to convert or die. Do they realize that this is what they're supporting?
Well, like I said, I was really refraining. I was also told by the other organizations I belong to that to stay away from Wall Street, and I, absolutely, just by watching the news, there were things on TV that, made me so furious that I grabbed my bag and I was going out the door because I was going to go look for that person. The
right.
one about, one was the guy walking around with the sign that if Christ rises again, we'll kill him again. Well, that was, God forbid if I would have been down there at that moment, because you're not going to get away with that. You're not going to get away with it. And then I also saw them waving a flag with a SWAT sticker on it, which
that infuriated me.
Oh my God! I said, thank you God, thank you Lord for not letting me be there at that moment because I know I'm going to end up going to jail or getting very seriously injured.
Right.
And as today. I decided on a lot of prayer and, reflection. I said, I have to go down there. I'm going to be down there Saturday morning. It's already been set up.
Okay.
And, and everybody, my phone has been blowing off the wall all day. Like, what are you, crazy? You can't do it, especially now that I quit smoking. I'm a little agitated. So it's like, no, you cannot be going down there. And I said, this is what I said on Palin's Patriots one day. Is that, I love going in there. I love talking to like-minded people, good people, decent people. I mean, the people in Palin's Patriots are, God, I wish they all lived around me in the neighborhood, okay? But the bottom line is, I can't stay in that town. You can't stay in here all day.
Right.
At that time, what happened is because I was down at the 9/11 memorial, and, I have to be a brave patriot, right? I'm doing what my forefathers would expect me to do. I spelled my name correctly, and I told them what part of Brooklyn I'm in. And the next thing I know, they started to friend me on Facebook. And I'm like, okay, is this a good idea? Well, I got the Muslims. I don't know how many are Al-Qaeda.
That's a scary thought because the more that I go to the supermarket over here, the more Muslims I'm seeing. I'm surrounded, seeing with people with burqas, and you don't know when you look at these people. You start thinking, do these people, are they hiding a bomb under there? You don't know. You just don't know. It's getting scarier because now I'm seeing it's gone from 50 to about 100 people every time I go to the supermarket, and I'm saying to myself, okay, if it's growing this fast just here in New Jersey, I'm wondering how this is going to spread all over the country. And we all know once the Muslims get in, there is no compromising with Sharia law. Once the Muslims overtake the Christian population in America, they're going to simply say, well, you know what? There is no more Constitution. You're now living under Sharia law. You either convert and become a Muslim or die. And I don't know, do the American people realize this?
No, my sources have told me that Obama has already an elite team rewriting the Constitution for his reelection. He plans on even rewriting it. And as far as the Muslims coming in,
and that's like,
who knows what the hell we're going to get. And as far as Muslims, when I tell people, they're coming in by the thousands every day, and for some reason people are getting 1,000 a day. Oh my God, that's terrible. No, people, they are coming in 12 to 15,000 a day. a day.
Yep.
And everybody's like, are you kidding? You know, you're crazy. I says, no, I'm not. I have very good sources over at LaGuardia, JFK. They are coming in. Nobody's going past Ellis Island. They're just coming in. You know, that 9/11 scrutiny law where they were supposed to
the borders
actually
are open.
investigate every Muslim that came in here. No, Obama, you know, he made it null and void. Welcome, come into the country. And they're coming. I have them moved right across the street. I mentioned last week. I even took a picture. I'm watching a catty corner right outside my window, 3-story family house, and it's all Muslim men in there. There's 2 imams also that are living in there. Yeah, so, you know, and the first thing that you do is that you check, you know, I haven't seen any women yet, but you check the women because the way they're dressed is going to tell you whether they're Al-Qaeda or Taliban. And if you got anybody in your area that is covered head to toe except with the male slat for the eyes, that is a Taliban wife.
Wow.
And then you have to ask yourself, where is Mr. Taliban?
Right.
Okay?
Well, this is, you know, it's just amazing. Well, you're in Brooklyn. It's growing. I mean, you see people coming into the neighborhood, and I don't know. I mean, you told me that in your area there's a lot of people. How do your neighbors react? Do they look like what's happening here, or do they just assimilate with the people like everything is fine?
You know what it is? I live, you know, hey, I'll tell everybody, you know. I live on Emmons Avenue in Sheepshead Bay, which is like the main strip because it runs right along the water. And it's become a Russian community.
Okay, hold on a second, Pat. Yeah, Beth?
Yeah, I have Michael on the line. He'd like to come in and talk about Gaddafi.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure, come on in. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, Michael. Welcome to the Batcave.
Michael, you there?
Yes, I am.
Michael, there you are.
Yes.
Welcome to the Batcave.
Carlos, can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Thank you. Good, Carlos. How are you?
Good. How are you? What would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, I see you have a few things up here. Who's winning the debates? And it's pretty obvious that Ron Paul is clearly running away with the debate.
Okay. So you like Ron Paul. There's a lot of things about Ron Paul that I do like. Okay. I like the fact that that he's a constitutionalist. He loves the Constitution, and he believes that we should go to the back to the gold standard, and we should do away with the Fed. All that. My problems with Ron Paul is the fact that while I agree with him that we shouldn't be supporting anybody with our money, bring all the money back. That's fine. But you know what? I think Israel deserves that money because they are a civilized nation, and if we lose Israel,
look at it this way. But Carlos, look at it this way.
Go ahead, Mike.
Israel receives more money, more federal aid than every other country combined. Are you aware of that? That of all of the money that we gave away to all of the other 190 what countries there are in the world, Israel receives more than all of them combined.
Okay.
And don't you think that you have to look back and you have to say, why are they getting all this money? Is it really because there's such an important military, strategic place for us to have a base there?
Well, you know what they are.
We already have bases in Saudi Arabia.
They're a buffer
and all around the area. In Iraq, we're going to be there forever.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is, Michael? They are the buffer zone for the United States. If we lose Israel,
between who? We don't. What do they? How do they contribute? What do they do?
They hold off Islam. They hold off.
I'm not anti-Semitic. My grandmother is Jewish, and that's the whole thing that people say. If you're anti-Israel, you're anti-Semitic. But I'm not. I'm half Jewish myself, so I can speak. I think to that point where I don't take it as someone who's being anti-Semitic.
Well, let me ask you this: Do you fear Sharia law eventually taking the United States down?
I think we have a lot more things to worry about than
You
Sharia
do.
law
coming
to America. Yeah, our country is really on the verge of collapse. And if you heard Ron Paul in the debate the other night, when he said, instead of everybody standing there bickering, the situation is bad. It's bad here, and it's going to get a lot worse. He gave a clear warning in the debate the other night.
So let me ask you this: if right now the United States left all of the Middle East and we stopped funding everybody, including Israel, do you think that would stop?
No. I did not say that.
Okay.
Please I did not say that. I don't agree. Ron Paul believes in humanitarian aid for people, propping up the military where it's necessary. He's not an isolation. He's not an isolationist. He doesn't want to pull everybody home. But, we have our fingers in so many countries all around the world, and our own country is imploding. And we're sending all of this aid, and people can't afford to eat, and the poverty level and the misery index came out today. It's the highest it's ever been in 28 years, and it's going up. And we're spending all of this money, and we're taking trillions of dollars and sending it overseas, and we're neglecting our own people at home.
I agree with you.
We have to bring this outrageous foreign aid to an end. Hey, listen, I'm a humanitarian. If people are starving, feed them. If there's an epidemic or an earthquake or somewhere, sure, go in and help them out.
But you know what the problem is, Michael?
We have to get away. Let me just finish. Yeah. We have to get away from this neocon agenda of the United States being this empirical power that by destiny was supposed to take over the world, because every empire is failing, and that's what's happening right now in the United States. This neocon agenda that was set in place about 45 years ago, and it
was longer than that.
I'm sorry.
It was longer than that. I think this started maybe about 100 years ago.
Well, actually, the new neocon agenda was the philosophy of Leo Strauss, who was a professor at the University of Chicago, and his students included Richard Pearl, Dick Cheney, Paul Wolfowitz, Donald Rumsfeld, and these are the guys that this guy taught. And his main philosophy that the United States is the strongest country in the world, and similar to Darwinism, where only the strong will survive, and the weak will eat the strong will eat the weak. Well, and he said, even if we have to go in by force and take over these countries and impose our will on them, it's okay.
Well,
but look what's happening.
Yeah, it's out of control.
We're in 5, and now it's going to be 6 undeclared wars that we're involved in.
Yeah, I agree with you. We definitely need to pull back. I just think it has to be done in a civilized fashion, and we have to say, okay, we can't just take all the money away from countries like Israel that are surrounded by people that whose goal.
Can I say something?
Oh, yes.
First of all, what you said, Michael, about Israel getting more funding than any other country, all the countries put together. This is the first time I'm hearing of it, okay? And I'm very involved with Israel. Also, Israel is our ally. Israel spends more money.
So is Canada. So we're not.
But you know what? Canada is not surrounded. It's not a peanut surrounded by giant walnuts and watermelons and cantaloupes of people that want to annihilate you.
Right.
Not take over your country. They want to annihilate you. That is the difference.
That's
and if that ever happens,
Israel has contributed more to this country and the world, okay, than any other country in the Middle East. Israel spends more on its military than any other country in the world, including the United States. We need to get our soldiers out of the rest of the Middle East.
That's our money they're spending on their defense.
Are you aware of the contributions that Israel has made to this country as far as medicine and life-saving machinery and technology? You have no idea. We owe Israel.
Unfortunately, I do have an idea.
Okay, and I'm not even Jewish. I'm not even part Jewish, okay? But I live in Hymietown, USA. We got more Jews here than anywhere else in the United States, Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
And I cannot even tell you. I sit on the board of directors.
You have these religious fanatics. You have, if you look at a map of what originally...
hold on a second.
If you look at the map of when originally was drawn up and the territory that they were given, and now they used force and they bottled those Palestinians into little tiny places. Everybody says, everybody's picking on Israel, but look at what the Israelis did to innocent Palestinian children. I mean, there's blood on both of their hands.
Innocent Palestinian children? Are you familiar with the Fogel family? Let's just take the Fogel family.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Fogel family?
They were all slaughtered.
And the land that was promised to Israel is a lot bigger than what they have, and they've shortened their borders for the Palestinians to make peace. It's never good enough. They just a few years back gave up Gaza. Okay, pulled their own people out of there. Like force.
Hold on a second, Ita.
And they gave the Palestinians a stronger grip on them to where they're able to get in and infiltrate.
Pat and Michael, I'd like to ask you something, because a couple of days ago I saw a link which, Michael, I'm sure if you like Ron Paul, you probably like Alex Jones. Alex Jones put up this link that shows that Israel is about to invade Iran. I don't know if you've heard about this. The United States.
Israel. Well, listen. This whole thing. They're trying to this whole thing. If you look at what happened with the Secretary of Defense, Leon Panetta, just came back from Israel, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then within a week later, they say they uncovered this plot to assassinate the Saudi ambassador to the United States,
right,
of Washington. This guy was in custody for 3 weeks before they made that announcement.
So in other words, he was just being set up.
And I know who Alex Jones is. I think Alex Jones, he makes some very good points. He brings out some information. But I think Alex Jones actually is the kept opposition. I think he is funded by the government to get people riled up and get the other viewpoint of people up to a certain point and not really get to the real truth.
Okay. Well,
he's out there.
I'm just saying that he just put a link up there, and he's got all this information saying that he's heard it from good authority that Israel will be attacking Iran, and the United States gave them the go ahead. And that scares me.
That's why he was there, and they want to do it before the winter.
Yeah, but you know what? Right, exactly. Before the winter because of the fighting conditions. But what scares me is, look, if the United States gave Israel the go-ahead for something like that, how do we trust somebody who we know is an illegal usurper in the White House today to handle that? And why, how can you say at some point he's going to be there, we're going to be attacking Iran along with Israel, and at some point that he won't say, now let's say that Israel did something against the United States, and let's just attack Israel, because this guy is a Muslim in the White House. This guy hates the United States, and he hates Israel.
There's a lot of things
I'd like to just interject here for a moment.
I'm sorry?
For a moment. In our chat room here, we just got information that you're wrong with your figures about how much we give Israel. 1 billion went to Pakistan, and 2,500,000 went to Israel.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, hon?
It's 1 billion to Pakistan.
1 billion only? I'm sure it's a lot more than that.
Million. No, 2.5 million.
Okay, I want to clear that thing up about Pakistan real quick, because I know that a couple of days after Joplin, Missouri was wiped out by tornadoes, Obama would not declare it a national emergency, so FEMA didn't have to step in and more or less said, I'm sorry, we don't have the funding to help you. That was right before he went on vacation again. And right after he supposedly caught Bin Laden, killed Bin Laden, he sent Pakistan $2.3 billion. Okay, right after he told Joplin, we don't have no money for you.
Right. Well, it's unfortunate. Like, what these people, you have to remember that, if it's Bush or if it's Obama or if it's anyone else who's going to be elected, I think maybe with the exception of Ron Paul, they all work for the power that's behind the government. There's no difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. Their strings, they're just puppets. Their strings are being pulled
I agree with
by this elite group, that are the ones that are holding the powers. And unfortunately, these are the people with the money, and most of them are these Zionist bankers that are in control of the entire world. And, Alex Jones will call the Bilderberger Group or whatever name you want to get it, the people that want to perpetuate this new world order.
Right.
Where it's going to be a one world government and we're going to have currency around the world.
The bottom line is that our government...
You cannot blame Israel for that, okay? Listen, you know what? Jewish people, they make the best accountants, okay? They make the best bankers. Go after the bankers. This has nothing to do with, I don't think it has anything to do with, Israel or being Jewish. It just so happens that these certain Jews, they know how to work the money. Right now, I think.
Well, that's kind of that in itself is kind of a.
Hold on one second, Beth.
I have another caller that I'm bringing into the show. Her name is Ella. Ella, welcome to the Batcave.
Hi, Ella.
Hi, Ella.
Hi.
How are you?
Baby?
How'd you like to?
It's fine.
How are you doing tonight? What would you like to talk about?
Well, I just find it quite interesting that when the little Mr. Owl was here for the UN meeting in New York City.
Right.
While he was gone, his country was dumping him. They had hoo-ha, so to speak. It's Iranian soul.
Okay.
They were talking bad about him on the TV and just ditching him, and come to find out that he and some of his friends, close friends, had stolen, have been accused of stealing $3 million from the Bank of Iran. $3
billion.
I'm just, Yeah, $3 billion.
Carlos?
Michael.
Carlos, I just want to say one thing about this.
Sure.
What happened today with us taking out Gaddafi, they say that it's a plus, that he, a dictator is dead, but I've never, I don't know any people from Libya. I've never seen any Libyans. Maybe it is a closed society. Maybe I don't know what the interior of that country and what the living conditions were like for the people. But I don't think any average American citizen does either. And for people to be cheering that this guy is dead and that we killed him, what were the real reasons? They have the largest oil reserve in all of sub-Sahara Africa. There's more oil under Libya than anywhere else. And don't you think that's the real reason that we were there?
I agree with you, Michael. I agree with you there.
And what they said, and they're comparing it to what happened in Egypt. They got rid of Mubarak, who was this horrible guy. But look at the people who took over Egypt right now. It's worse now than it was before.
And it's spreading. Their goal is to take over all of the Middle East. That's the reason that they brought down Gaddafi. He was holding them back.
But it wasn't about gold.
And you know what else he was going to do? They're having a tribunal at The Hague soon.
I'm sorry, Ella, what was that?
They're having a tribunal at The Hague.
It's not about oil. It's about gold.
What about
gold, too? He has the largest gold reserve also.
Yeah, they have.
Absolutely.
Libya is rich in all kinds of minerals.
And for the past few years, Gaddafi was saying that all of the Middle East should create their own currency and trade oil in the dinar, in their currency. He was a proponent of that. Yeah. The same thing that Saddam Hussein wanted to do back in the 80s, to create a currency to trade oil. And the United States said, no way, because that would undercut our economy and it would take away the dollar as being the international trading currency. And that would have destroyed the U.S. economy.
Michael, you interrupted Ella as she was trying to say something. Ella, go ahead. You were saying about the gold.
I just think it's quite interesting that everyone thinks it's about oil, which actually some of Gaddafi's past allies that worked with his government had promised France and Europe investments in their oil and minerals if they would bring down the regime. Now, that's been well documented. But also, what I also find interesting is why that his son, his youngest son, Gaddafi's youngest son, was given a visa, and he was in the United States. He came here. He visited New York City, many Broadway plays. He ate at many restaurants. He met many American people. He was very infatuated with American people. He bragged on how much he loved the American people.
Right. He was Americanized.
And how he wanted his country to be more creative. He wanted to bring them back, their country up to like America.
Well, you know what the problem is? The problem, Ella, is the fact that it has nothing to do with countries anymore. They're all trying to unify this one world order thing. And, he just got it.
That's exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he was here with contractors because he was learning about our water and construction and all kind of stuff because they were trying to bring Libya up to par in this, as far as their society. They were working towards making Libya a better place. And he had to leave, when he got the word that his country was being bombed and attacked because he was over the military. Now,
right.
If he was such a threat and Gaddafi was such a threat, why was he allowed to come into the United States? Why was he allowed to, walk freely among American people and visit Broadway plays? I mean, this is really sad. I mean, it was really sad. I mean, this...
It really is. The saddest part...
The UN.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is go to the UN. They're all, they come in. I mean, the Iranian, the leader came in.
They don't care about the United States. He was invited
to Columbia, NYU.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
they don't, give a darn about the United States or any other country. It's all about how much money to contribute to their little group so they can fill their pockets. That's what it's all about.
Well,
and taking out Gaddafi was all about minerals.
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
Not absolutely about oil. Oil is not as... there's plenty of oil on this earth. It's mineral.
Yeah, and it's all under Libya.
Right.
Hey,
most of it's under Libya.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, Beth.
And I have Mark America coming in.
All right.
Welcome to the show, Mark.
How you doing?
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
You're a great conservative blogger. I follow
your voice.
I follow you. I follow your posts all the time on the
too.
Palin Patriot. Yeah, you're great. Now you've been following this whole Occupy Wall Street thing. What do you think is going on there, and what do you think is going to happen with the with it spreading?
Well, I think the point of the whole Occupy Wall Street movement is to create kind of a precursor, a practice round for what they intend next year. Yesterday, Drudge reported, and I followed up with my own report on it. They intend to hold what they're going to call a National Assembly in Philadelphia next year. They're very much interested in undoing our system of government, and it's clear that what they're going to do is try to incite violence, division, dissension, and do everything they can to effectively overturn our form of government.
Look, this
Mark, have you been down there?
No. I live in Texas, so I've not been anywhere near that.
I'll be there Saturday.
Mark,
I was actually there last night.
Oh, were you, Michael?
Yeah, I was downtown last night.
Well, what did it look like?
Michael, you're in New York.
Yeah, right. I'm in New Jersey actually, but I was in Midtown and I decided to take a ride downtown to Wall Street to see what was going on. It looked like, I got there very late. There wasn't any activities going on, but there was a lot of people camping out, a lot of tarps, a lot of tents, a very large police presence all over the street.
Now let me ask you this: do any of you realize that a 19-year-old girl was raped at one of these Occupy events in Cleveland a couple of days ago, but the media hasn't said anything about it? How do you feel about that?
Surprised me.
I didn't hear about it.
So horrible.
Yeah.
I heard about it, but I haven't gotten too many details. Of course, in part that's because the media has blacked that out. Since Michael's still on the line, though, I did want to touch briefly on his statement when he first came on about foreign aid. I'm looking at a document on the Census Department's website that lists the foreign aid that we've given to various countries, listed in billions of dollars through 2010. And his statement was that Israel receives more foreign aid than all the other countries combined. I'm going to say that based on this document, I can say that's categorically incorrect. It's not even close. In the fiscal year 2010, we gave approximately $2.7 billion in foreign aid to Israel. In that same year, we gave $2.9 billion just to Iraq. So we gave more to Iraq in foreign aid, and this is listed under the category U.S. government foreign grants and credits by type and country, 2000 through 2010, and the total amount of money that we've spread around has gone up markedly under Barack Obama, but it's been relatively flat or down to Israel in that same period. So I definitely take.
What you have to take into consideration is what exactly mean. When I said foreign aid, I mean all of the support that we give to them. Military. They don't count that as military. They don't count that as foreign aid. How we prop up their military. There's way that they can work these figures so that it seems like, hey, we gave more money to Iraq than we did to Israel. But it's just the way that they categorize that money, that it wouldn't fall under the category of foreign aid. It could be something else. Well, that's not actually foreign aid, but it is money that we're giving them.
Right.
So do you understand what I'm? So when it's
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Right.
I understand what you're saying, but
right.
But let's put this in context. I mean, for one thing, I understand you're a Ron Paul supporter. I heard you mention that early on in your call. Let me say this, because I think I agree with the host on this one. I appreciate a lot of what Ron Paul has to say on the subject of economics, on the subject of liberty. But I think he's dead wrong on some of his foreign policy notions, and this is one of them, because frankly, as a matter of fact, if Israel is substantially attacked by their neighbors, we are going to be involved.
Yep.
The American people are going to demand it. I am going to demand it. Most everybody I know is going to demand it. And the fact of the matter is, it is going to cost us tens, hundreds of billions of dollars in what that will cost. So when I see a few $billion, as much as I don't like sending money anywhere outside our borders, okay, as much as I don't like that, I also know that to a certain extent, this could be considered, in one sense, a matter of national security, in as much as this is preventing, to some degree, our involvement in a wider, major conflict that would result in the deaths of thousands of Americans.
Well, look, isn't that
millions? Millions. And you know what? The next conflict, I'm afraid, is going to be, if it really heats up, it's going to be a nuclear conflict.
Yeah, it's going to be World War III. And
that's right. World War III.
Unfortunately,
World War III has already started. World War III has already begun.
Go ahead, Ella.
Do you know, if Israel was to go back to 1967 borders, and they would give Palestinians what they wanted, there would only be 7 miles of land left for Israel. Did you know that?
Yep.
Did you also know?
I knew it, Ella.
The main battle in the Middle East has to do with fresh drinking water, and they believe that the main fresh water is right up under Israel. That's why everybody wants to occupy Israel. And the fact remains, that's why they want to occupy the world, because the Middle East is running out of fresh water.
Yeah, and you know where the largest desalination plants are in the Middle East? You know where they are? They're in Libya.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Libya. You know, that country is like Libya is like the most developed technologically in the entire area.
No.
You know, Gaddafi, be an dictator, but I think the guy took care of his people. You know, from what I've seen and from what
he kept it stable too.
But nobody knows. But how do you know? How do we know? How do we know? You know, it's a closed society. Things didn't get out. We were just making these assumptions of what went on in that country. I mean, there was free health care for all those people. He built these desalination plants. They had infrastructure. They have, computers and internet, and they have their own industry.
Right.
They were a self-sufficient society.
That all sounds very nice, and I'll let's assume that all that's true. Still, in 1988, when people acting at least theoretically, operationally under his control, took down an airliner over Scotland, at that point, I don't care if he was otherwise a saint.
Right.
Okay. At that moment, all these arguments lose all of their impact with me, because you see, at the time, I was stationed in Germany. I was a young soldier at the time, and a year and a couple months later, when my family flew home ahead of me by a few weeks, they flew home on Pan Am Flight 104.
Wow. Okay,
because Flight 103 was no longer in use since the incident in question. So it could just as easily have been my wife and child. It could just as easily have been me.
My high school principal brother was killed on that plane, and he was the largest. He was the guy that started a lot of those a lot of that activity against Libya. His name was Thomas Ammerman. He was my high school principal, and his brother was killed. His name was Bert Ammerman. The brother's name was Tom. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
But do we have proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Gaddafi did this?
The United States took down an Iranian commercial jetliner, and there were 245 people aboard that plane.
Accidentally.
And, it was 22 years ago. There was 290 people on board. It was shot down by a U.S. Navy ship. They say it was by mistake, and the United States has yet to apologize for it.
Wow.
So
actually, let's be clear. That was Iran, right? That was Iran. What does that have to do with Gaddafi? What was his interest in that?
Well, I'm just saying, the guy was complicit in taking down this plane. Right?
Russia took down one of our planes too. It was in forbidden airspace. I mean, it happened.
Right. The Korean jet.
But do we have 100% beyond a reasonable doubt that we can say for sure that Gaddafi was behind it?
Oh, I think so.
I think it's pretty cut and dry at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I don't think there's anyone that disputes that.
I'm not sure of it.
Somebody,
I don't know who's really disputing it, except maybe Gaddafi's heirs.
Well,
hold on a second, Mark.
Excuse me, Lori is in our chat room, and she's saying that that a-hole tried to shoot down her dad's AF plane, and back in the 70s, and I mean,
wow.
Gaddafi is nuts, and I mean he shoves his own son-in-law out of a helicopter.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're even
and Michael.
Yes.
I don't care what the reasoning is. When there's things going on and there's wars going on, there's no reason for us to apologize.
No, that's right.
Sorry.
I agree with you.
We don't apologize.
You're exactly right.
That's one reason why our country is going down, is because the POTUS is going around on his apology tour. The moment that he got into office, it made everybody lose respect for the United States of America.
Well, that's the political correctness that's been taught into the schools, and the kids today think that.
PC sucks.
Yeah, well, that's right. Political correctness has destroyed this country, where right now you can't tell somebody the truth because you're afraid of hurting their feelings. Well, you know what? Suffer. Feelings are made to be hurt. If it's the truth, I want to hear the truth. If the truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah, well, the truth. They say that truth is the new hate speech. You know, people don't want to hear the truth. They'd rather be, they'd rather be soothed by lies than know the actual truth.
No, it's like, let me tell you something. Somebody was telling me, well, you know what? Hey, how dare Alex Jones? They call him a traitor because if it's true that Israel is about to attack Iran, that's you're going against. Well, you know what? I want to know the truth. If Israel is about to attack, I want to know, because here in the United States, we should prepare. What's going to happen if Israel does fight a war, and then all of a sudden these people start taking it out on us with terrorist attacks like they normally do? Prepare.
Well,
Spread the word.
Egypt is too much of a whiny baby. They're pushing. They're pushing. They want Israel and America to attack Iran.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, I think this is another
it
thing.
Was before the UN. They were taking a vote. And Russia and China told Obama to go screw himself.
Well, see, that's another
Russia
thing.
And China,
which they could go on the side of Iran.
Baby. Iran is Russia's baby, and you might as well say that Russia is China's baby.
With Russia.
If I could just interject one thing.
Go ahead.
If I could just interject one thing. This guy, Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran,
Ahmadinejad.
This guy is a bona fide wacko. But you know what? He really has no power. It's the Ayatollahs that are behind him. And if you ever see a picture of Ahmadinejad, when he's giving a speech, he doesn't have any real power. Everybody, this guy Ahmadinejad says that Israel should be wiped off the earth. This guy has no real power. It's just rhetoric. It's propaganda. And for some reason the Ayatollahs that are over there that are in the real power, they don't want any wars. They don't want any struggles or conflicts with anyone.
No, I think the little owl is the one that stirred this up because he's mad because he got all his powers, and so did all his 4,000 of his friends. They can never again get involved in Iran's politics again, and they're being investigated for that money that was stolen from the bank. But the only thing we can hope for is that the military is not still loyal to Al, because they were very loyal to Al, and hope that we don't kick them and get them to become an uprising in Iran.
I'm sorry.
But who are you referring to?
Ella?
Who are you referring to,
When you
Ella?
say Al, you mean Ahmadinejad, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ahmadinejad.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I have a different name for him, but I won't say it.
I have been to Iran back in the 70s. I was in Iran, the late 70s, 77.
Yeah.
When the Shah was still in control.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty
not still, beholding to Al. Let's just hope that way.
This other dictator that we came in and propped up and took over this country and put the Shah of Iran in there. People that go around, Americans, they wonder why, so many people around the world don't like us. We go in and we take over. We start all of these skirmishes and all of these wars. We take over these countries. We have false flag operations. To get involved in and the bottom line is, Carlos, and you know it, and you know it as well as I do. And Eisenhower warned about it.
That's right. I was going to bring it up. I was going to say Eisenhower.
It was the takeover of our country by the military industrial complex.
He warned us. Wasn't that his farewell speech? He said that. He said that we have all this power. Make sure we don't use it. We don't use it to go and fight these wars that we don't need to fight. We should. The last war that we.
Exactly what we're doing. And Kennedy was killed before it.
Wow.
Kennedy was killed because of that.
Then postered the whole United States with where our power nuclear plants are and everything else. So we're like sitting ducks. The terror cells know where all our stuff's at. If they want to, if they're here in the United States now, it's easy.
Which goes
they're
back,
here.
Which one point, Carlos, and you know that I'm very involved in 9/11 Truth.
Right.
And we have this guy who's sitting in a cave in Afghanistan, and he has a laptop and some satellite phones. And we're supposed to believe that this guy was able to penetrate the most defended airspace in the world.
Well, you know what, Michael?
Commercial jetliners without military interruption for 55 minutes. But if you go back to 1999, you remember who Payne Stewart, the golfer, was?
Right.
When Payne Stewart and those guys passed out on that corporate jet, do you know that within 10 minutes of them not getting any response from that jet, there were 6 fighter planes around that guy's jet, and the President of the United States had been informed about what to do with that jet? So people are supposed to say that this went on for 55 minutes with no military interruption at all.
Hold on a second.
Mark, you know what? I agree with you because I used to work for O'Hare Airport, and I'm very familiar with airspace and the forbidden airspace, especially flying over cities like Chicago with big buildings. And like I said, the first time I saw the first plane hit, I thought it was a small plane, because the dimensions would, it's a massive building. It just came off like a small plane to me at first. When I found out it was a commercial airline, I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Because that's forbidden airspace.
Right.
And, I'm saying, okay, something, and I remember I was up that morning, I'm telling my boyfriend, this is not possible. This cannot happen because it's forbidden airspace. They should have had the F-15s up there right away. But what amazed me the most was how that second plane got through.
Well, that's what we knew.
Well, if it was a plane at all. You know what they did, and Carlos, I'm going to send you this link that I have about how, you heard of the Operation Northwoods?
No, I haven't.
From
What's
the 1960s.
that?
Operation Northwoods was a plan that the Defense Department had come up with to paint a military jet to look exactly like a commercial airliner. And what they were going to do was outfit it so they could send it up remote controlled, and it was going to take off from Miami. There was a takeoff from Homestead Air Force Base in Florida. At the same time, a commercial airliner that was, the one that they had replicated, they painted the other plane to look exactly the same, was going to fly. And once they got down over Cuba, it was going to be flying either to, South America or Central America. They were going to transmit a distress signal saying that it was under attack from Russian MiGs.
Right.
And then shortly after that, they were going to self-destruct the drone. And then the regular airline, the regular flight, was going to return to Homestead Air Force Base, and there would be, military personnel and government personnel on this plane, and then they would just walk off.
Yeah.
So the operation that they did on 9/11 was just a very, very updated version of the Northwoods plan. And if you look at the Northwoods plan, what they did was they substituted military drones with commercial aircraft. And the way they did it, they worked it out so well. Carlos, they worked it out so well that where they switched these planes was over Air Force bases, but it was also places in the country that the radar returns were very, very weak.
You know what the problem is? Let me tell you, Mike. The problem is that I was there. I was there in watching, live. I was in person on the New York skyline, and as I was seeing these things, and all I saw was a commercial jet crashing into this building, and that's all I saw. I didn't see any such.
Right.
Right. So I look at. I mean, I'm going to say I'll keep an open mind as to what happened in 9/11. But I can't actually say, it was, because it just blows me away to think that our government would be that deep to say, yeah, let's blow our own country up. No, I can't believe that, or we'll all go insane. That's the last thing.
Well, right. I know 54,000 soldiers that were slaughtered. Vietnam, our government didn't care too much about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost 60,000 men in Vietnam, and they came out and said that the Gulf continent never happened.
You're right, but you know what the bottom...
Excuse me, this is just bizarre.
Hey, that's what I was going to say. Let's get back to the topic here, because that's like if a full-scale investigation...
I'd like to say something about our grid. Can somebody please tell me why our security is so lapsing on our power grid?
Yeah,
that's what we should be worrying about.
Well, that's true.
Well, the security is poor because it's big. It's spread out all over. I mean, we're defending a huge territory. So it's kind of difficult to defend a grid that is built across miles and miles of mostly in a lot of places vast nothingness. I don't know how you can easily defend something that is basically running from almost to every point where there's power in the country. So it's kind of difficult to defend it all. I don't know how you'd accomplish that.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm most worried about.
Excuse me for one moment.
Go ahead, Beth.
Excuse me for a moment. I just wanted to let everybody know that the call-in number one is 323-679-0958. We're down to our last half hour, but the show does continue if we're still talking. But anybody listening who's not on the phone with us will have to catch it on the rerun once the show is over. You can catch it on Blogtalk Radio. And I have Lori in the chat room asking if Mark can talk about Sarah.
Yeah, what's your take on Sarah Palin, Mark? Why do you think she did not? She decided not to run?
Well, to be honest with you, I take her at her word. I mean, she said that she had, through long considerations, determined that it wasn't right for her family at this time, and without delving into I don't know the inner workings of her family or her mind or any of that. I'm not in that, but I have to take her word for it at some point. Why wouldn't I? As she pointed out in a rally recently, or at a speech she was making recently, you trust me to run the country, but you don't trust me to make this decision? To a certain extent.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
Lori was wondering if you think that there's any chance in hell that she may reconsider.
I would say there's probably a chance that she'll reconsider, but it's probably a very small chance. I mean, if she did, if tomorrow she said, hey, the family concerns have been cleared up and now I feel free to run and I want to, then I think she'd find a lot of support. Whether that'll happen, I have no idea. I suspect not. But nevertheless, I leave open the possibility of virtually anything.
What do you think about the debates? I look at them as a clown show. That's exactly what it is. It's almost like they're beating each other up so there's nobody left standing. This puts Sarah Palin at the very top. If she just walked in right now, she'd be at the top of the field. Don't you agree?
Well, I do agree with that, but once again, that's my political consideration, and that's the kind of consideration I'm making. I'm making a political consideration, as are most of us who are basically observers of this, voters, participants. But the fact of the matter is, the considerations she's thinking about are much more personal. So I can understand how those definitely would trump, my political considerations, frankly.
You made a good point there, Mark. A lot of people I know have been saying that they're going to write her name in anyway on the primary. And you're right. If she said, we trust her for everything else, she's always been very true to her word. So why would we question or doubt what she said?
Well,
but
definitely.
I still think that in my heart, I want to vote for her anyway. In my heart.
Well, and I agree with you. I mean, because as has already been stated, the debates we're watching now, I see them also as a bit like a clown show. I'm not really impressed with any of these folks, and the truth of the matter is, the longer this goes on, the less impressed with them I am.
Right. Well, that brings me to the next question, Mark. You say Sarah Palin, trust her judgment, but she hasn't endorsed anybody. Do you think that she would see anybody as, somebody similar to her? Because didn't she say originally that the only way that she wouldn't run is if she found a candidate that would represent, the best interests of the American people? So who's out there that you think she would actually endorse?
Well, and that's an open question at this point. I don't know
I think
that
it might be Michelle.
Well, my Senator Jim DeMint, hasn't endorsed anyone yet either. He said that it may be in January before he endorses anyone. So obviously he's not very impressed either.
Well, and I think that's something that we all need to be a little careful about, because there was among a certain number of Palin supporters, the moment she made her announcement, they began making other plans. Now, it's rational to do that to a certain extent, but at the same time, Texas, we're not voting. Our primary isn't until March. I'm in no hurry. I've got 4 or 5 months from now to decide. Now, the fact of the matter is, I really worry about the people who, in a rush to just be on board with somebody, something, somewhere, because they're desperate about the state of the country, and understandably so. I mean, look, throughout the last 9 months, there were a number of people who would get all worked up that, okay, now Sarah's going to announce. Now Sarah's going to get in. Now Sarah's going to make her announcement and run for president. And they would be self-disappointed when that didn't occur. And it was as though, and you heard this a lot, and I'm sure you heard it on your show, she has to get in now. This is the time. Well, why? The question is why? What are the advantages to getting in early for somebody who has 98% name recognition?
Right. See, that's the other thing. Of the 4 people whose names were on the ballot, 3 years ago, hers was one of them. Her name recognition is right there, so it's only going to be her and, Obama. When the people go to the polls, they'll remember both names, nobody else. So she has that big advantage. But why?
Yeah, Carlos, look at the hatchet job the media did on her the last time out.
Right.
Right? Look at what they did the last time. Don't you think that the media, the kept media, it would absolutely destroy her?
No, because too much truth has come out since. Too much truth. People, first of all, since that election, people now realize, you know what, the media lies. Everybody in the media lies, and it's for their own agenda. And they destroyed her. They got her.
America's
her
wide
emails.
open now.
Yeah.
We're just now. We're just now starting to learn more about Mitt Romney, as one example. Despite the fact that he ran for the nomination in 2008, but we are just now beginning to learn about some of his less than conservative things, as we're just now finally really beginning to vet him, as he's actually looking like maybe a presidential contender. Now, the fact of the matter is, Sarah Palin has been thoroughly vetted. What else could they manufacture about her that they haven't already?
You're right.
I mean, I imagine you can come up with something goofy, ridiculous, or absurd.
They tried that stupid book where they said she had the affair with a black man and did cocaine and all that. We know it's all a bunch of lies. And, you look at her past.
Oh, yeah, with the basketball player? Yeah.
Right. It was just told,
what a ridiculous thing.
It's a last means. It's like saying we've got nothing else. They thought that the big thing was going to be the emails. And the emails came out, and you know what? She came out even squeakier cleaned than people ever even imagined. So they said, okay, well, there's no way. We have to just build up some huge lie and spread it and let people believe it's the truth.
Well, and that's absolutely true. I mean, if we look at it, the coverage that actually came out of the whole email fiasco suggested that she was a good and diligent politician carrying out her duties.
Right.
It's hard to make hay
and
out of that.
And love her family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, the bottom... Yeah.
Carlos, excuse me. Carlos, I got to run.
All right, Michael.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
And thank you. Thank you for coming on the
show.
Good night.
Thank you for calling
Good night.
in.
Good luck. God bless.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right.
God bless.
Yeah, so, the bottom line is that Sarah Palin, I think there's a door open there that she can say, at some point when the people say, no, we don't want any of these other people, Sarah Palin can say, well, okay, it's the same thing as George Washington. He didn't want to serve, But then when people realize, he's the only one to do it, he said, okay, I got to do it for my country. And I think that door is still open for Sarah Palin.
She may be the only politician at this time, or maybe even at any time in my life, for whom that's probably true. I don't think there's been another politician who can draw people and who gets the kind of positive response that Sarah Palin gets. Now, whether she'll avail herself of that, I have no idea. As I said, I take her at her word on the whole question of her considerations with respect to her family. And to be honest with you, I heard you mentioning earlier that there were people who may have essentially bullied her out.
I really believe that. For some reason, do you want to know why I believe that, Mark? Because look at our Congress. Would you believe that our Congress doesn't know that the usurper's in there illegally? I mean, let's be honest. Do you think nobody there knows? They know. But why aren't they saying anything? Yeah. You don't think that they could have gone up to them and said, well, you're now part of this club. You either do as we say, or we can't guarantee the safety of your family. You know what I'm saying? That's all. This is communism. This is how it's done.
I think. Well, let me say this. Let me back up and say this, because this is something that I don't know how closely people, different people pay attention to a different degree, and so I'm just going to tell you what I observed. Okay. What I observed is when she made her announcement, very shortly thereafter, Sarah Palin came out with another video. Did you see that video that was released right when she announced that she would not run?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I noticed about that was that the upload date on that was the 27th of September.
Right. And when was her announcement?
The 5th of October.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
Okay, but here's my point. Now, the thing about this is, and bear with me a moment, because this is my thinking. Okay, so the 27th was when they uploaded that. Now, it may have been uploaded as one alternative video, right? They could have produced who knows what, right? The thing about it is, it wasn't produced in a day. Those are really well done videos. They're not cobbled together on my computer, I can promise you. But the thing that you have to know is, well, if it took a couple days to put that together, what happened around that time? Well, if you'll remember, it was the previous Thursday evening when the whole situation in the bar with Bristol, with the
right. Do you think that was the turning point? Do you think that was when she said enough is enough?
I don't know. Obviously, I certainly don't know what Sarah Palin was thinking at the time, and I don't. But I suspect that would be in a laundry list of family considerations. I mean, quite frankly, that was a horrible episode. I covered it on my blog, but the fact of the matter is that was really very ugly.
It's low. It was very low. I mean, you never pick on a politician's child. I mean, this is just. Can you imagine if they do that to any of Obama's kids? Can you even begin to imagine?
And so you see, with that as a backdrop to this whole time frame, I look at it and say, now you said bullied was the word, and in a sense, this may equate to the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
This obviously was indirect and through some idiot who happened to be there, or whatever the case was. But the fact of the matter is, I'll be honest with you, if that was my daughter, and I have a daughter roughly Bristol's age,
right.
If that was my daughter, there'd have been a big problem right then and there. But there's no way that, I'm not running for office either.
Right.
So I'm not even under consideration for running for office. I probably have recourses that somebody in her position would not. The fact of the matter is, though, that such an incident is very disturbing to see. And one of the things that I noticed in the immediate aftermath Tammy Bruce. I don't know if you're familiar with her show.
Oh, absolutely,
In the night after the announcement, she discussed the whole question, the announcement, and of course she was, like the rest of us, terribly disappointed. But one of the things that she mentioned along these lines was that at the debut or the premiere of The Undefeated in Pella, that she had a chance to talk to Governor Palin, and that Governor Palin expressed not having seen all of that negative footage that appears at the beginning of The Undefeated, having never seen all of that before. And, you know, Tammy went down a path talking about, well, you know, maybe she kind of ignores that kind of press and that kind of coverage. But here we had, on the 22nd or 3rd of September, suddenly her daughter was being confronted with that kind of thing.
Right. Well, you know what the thing is, Mark? I mean, if you know, I said it earlier. I did have Stephen Bannon on the show, and I asked him flat out, is Governor Palin running? And he said, yeah. He goes, I really believe she is. And I asked the very same thing of Joe Miller, who knew Sarah Palin from Alaska. You know, he ran last year in the
right.
Senate. And he said the exact same thing, and so did Frank Aquila, who, you know, he knows, he wrote the book Sarah Palin Out of Nowhere, and he's done all his research on her. Everything was pointing to Sarah running. Then suddenly something, and if you notice when she made that video, you know, when she said she wasn't running, it didn't seem like the same fire in the belly Sarah that we know. But something happened from, you know, from that speech.
You think she's being threatened? Maybe?
Well, I honestly do. But you know what?
I do too. I think so. I think that a possibility that yes, some sort of threats. I mean, because look, I don't have any respect for Bill Clinton, but look how fast they jumped and impeached him. Look
right.
at and now take a look at Barack Obama. Over 300 pages of scandals of impeachment offenses he has committed. They haven't touched him yet. And, I mean, Sarah was, yes, she. I believe she would have ran. Something happened.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Do believe.
You know what I think? Something happened, but think about the Sarah Palin that we saw in that speech. Was it in Madison, Wisconsin that we saw when it was raining? It was an incredible speech. Yeah. Anybody
right.
who saw that speech would say Sarah Palin is definitely running. I mean, this is like one of the best campaign speeches I've ever seen. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know, she decides not to. Something happened. And it wasn't something minor. It was something that, you know, the Sarah Palin that was there was basically neutralized. And, you know, that's the part.
Yeah.
To be honest, the quickest way, if I boil this down and break this down from my own point of view, okay, and this is me, if you wish to neutralize me, attack my daughter.
That's my point, Mark. That is the problem in politics, and this is how communism exists all over the world. As long as you have family, people will go up to you and they'll threaten your family. That's it. No matter how tough you are, you will back down for your family's sake. This is why, when you think about it, the people who should be running, politics, and even in the military, the people that are going to do the right thing, they should all be single, not have family, and be properly vetted to make sure that these people love their country and nothing else and believe in God. That's exactly how I see. It's sad, but these are the people that should be representing the top, the people who care and show that they care. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
I got kicked out for a few seconds there, Mark. So when I did, you were starting to say about the video. Did you say that happened on the same day that her daughter had that problem with that guy in the bar?
A couple days afterwards.
Okay.
That video upload date was a couple days afterwards. So, of course, I don't know when the video was produced, but you know, I know when it was uploaded. So.
Yeah.
It's just something that, when you think about it, this is not politics in America as we're used to. I mean, is this the politics that we're supposed to be seeing in a free country, where the best candidate is not allowed to run, or is basically being nudged? No, don't run, because if you. And let me tell you something. It's not gonna stop. Do you think that the people are going to stop attacking Sarah Palin just because she doesn't run for president?
Probably not. I'll be honest, probably not. Yeah. On the other hand, as she is not in that title-seeking capacity, she may lose some relevance to some of those people who have been attacking her. Whether that comes true, I don't know.
Well, I just, I don't. Some people say, well, you know what? She's probably waiting for to run in 2016. But you know what? I think if there's another 4 years of Barack Obama, we're not going to be seeing free elections in 2016. He needs to leave now because it's obvious by now that he's just a commie usurper, and his goal is to bring down America. And he's the guy fueling. Whenever you see what's taking place in the Middle East right now, the whole Muslim Spring and all this thing, this is all being controlled by him and whoever his puppet masters are. We already saw that he was with Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook. They were having those meetings, obviously coordinating the people over there for the Arab Spring and to take over the Middle East. And the same thing he's doing here in America now with the with this whole Occupy Wall Street thing, which is ridiculous. And it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly next year, just like you wrote.
Well, unfortunately, I think that's the case. We're looking at people who, for various reasons, are unhappy with their own lives and wish to spread the misery. That's what they do. That's what socialism is. It's spreading the misery equally, and that's what they're out to do. I mean, they say it in various ways.
This is the last part of Obama's agenda.
I'm sorry, was that the last what?
This is the last stage of Obama's MWO agenda. He has to start this revolution. He has to bankrupt. What's happening right now is the last stage of MWO agenda.
Well, they know that.
He has a time frame. He has a time frame.
Look, you're right, because this is
why
going to be
we
the
need
longest
to get rid
year.
of him.
This is going to be the longest year in the history of this country to see if we survive to see free elections. Right, because
I think we have another 237 days. Is that it? I keep track.
And don't you think that he's going to want? Do you think that he's going to try to create a crisis from now until then, so he can cancel the elections?
Oh God! Look what he's done already. I mean, look what he did the first year. It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Well,
it's
I
one
think,
heck of a mess.
I think that's part of what the whole National Assembly that they're talking about, the occupiers are talking about doing next year. That's what that is. I mean, it's not coincidental that they intend to run that from July till October.
Wow.
The timing is fairly obvious. So, to me, it's clear that they have an agenda, and unfortunately for some of these occupiers, I think they're going to find out very quickly how disposable they are when things get going, as the useful idiots are under every regime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They don't want to camp in my front yard. I bet you that.
Well, I just wanted to let everybody know that we're down to 7 minutes. So if you have any final comments that you'd like to make in that time before we wrap up.
Yeah, I'd like to ask everybody here, how do you think this is going to all end between now and November 2012? Do you think that we're going to make it there in one piece? Is there going to be civil riots? Is there going to be a military takeover? What do you think? First, let's go. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm sorry, Carl. I just, not to throw it off, but I'm still wondering where that Iranian battleship is. That was headed towards America. Supposedly it had nuclear weapons on it. Yeah, I mean, it's okay, I heard about it. I'm I'm right over here in New York. It's
nothing.
Where do you think the first missile's going to go?
I don't know.
All of a sudden, you don't hear nothing.
I'm still wondering what that missile was that was launched in San Diego last year. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
or that, you got North Korea over there, too, they're kind of laying low there.
Well, I think that was done by China.
Probably was. So, what do you guys think? You think we're going to make it there in one piece and everything will be good? Is Obama going to get reelected, or is he out?
I think if we make it there, Obama stands a better than even chance of being out. The question is, will we make it there? I look at the whole Occupy Wall Street movement as part of the justification. A few weeks back, we had the governor of North Carolina come out and say, gee, as a trial balloon, I believe, should we suspend these elections so that, Congress can just go about the business of, that's running the country and passing laws, and, let's just suspend the elections for 2 years. They always say these things as a sort of trial balloon, and I think there's probably some thinking that that's a viable alternative, and I don't. So.
Well, we can't cancel the election because we've gone too far, and actually people should be made aware. Look, if they try anything to cancel the elections, the American people should take that as a war by the government against us. There's nothing less, because this man is in there, and we know that he shouldn't be in there. So, if he does that, yeah. If he does that, it's because he's trying to bring us down.
There's also it's cold weather. I think it's cold weather sets in the northern part of the states and stuff, that the occupiers will kind of slow down a little bit. But then in the spring, I believe that they'll come back out. But
unless they move to warmer places.
Right. I believe that we may have some serious attacks upon our country, and I'm not quite sure we make it. But if we do, America will be born again in January 2013.
Amen.
Well, amen.
You have to, you also have to realize that if there's a clause where if the president of the United States gets us into enough wars, especially a World War III, he doesn't even have to step down as president of the United States.
That's pretty scary thought.
Well,
exactly.
The thing that I think about is we had this incident the other day in San Antonio with the French Moroccans being found at the Bexar County Courthouse, I guess, doing reconnaissance. My thinking is, well, we know that the Obama and the left and all the Soros organizations certainly helped the Islamists with their Arab Spring.
Yeah.
What happens if they're going to return the favor?
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to tell you, there's at least 15,000 a day coming in through New York. I don't know where else around the United States, but I know in New York. So, absolutely. I mean, all they have to do is come out their doors. They're here. The Al-Qaeda's here. The Taliban's here.
You know what, people? We have a Second Amendment. While we still have it, use it. And if ever they ban it, ignore it.
Well, it's banned here in New York. I'm an illegal weapons owner, and I could go to prison for 3 years because of it.
You know what? It's better to risk it than
take my gun out of my cold dead hands.
There you go. Well, it's better to risk it than to lose your life because not having it. That's the way I look at it. We're on our own. The borders are open. They're not doing anything on our behalf. We know that.
No, but they're paying more attention to the southern borders, and we're ignoring what's going on in the northern borders.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They're walking right through. But, yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's what I'm saying. All the distractions. Al-Qaeda's coming in. I believe all those guns were supplied to the Mexican cartels, and I think it even goes all the way down to South America, because I'm familiar with all them people. And,
right.
We'll give you this and smuggle our Al-Qaeda in through Mexico.
I
what
believe
was
that.
The comment made by the usher? What was the comment made by the usher? I need 2,000 brown shirts.
Yeah.
Including
that's all been paid for.
Military conquistadors. There's going to be a war between. There's going to be a thug war between the ones that accept the NWO and the ones that do not.
Wow. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to leave it there, and we're going to call it a day. And this has been a great show, guys. I want to thank you all for coming on the show. And
thank you.
Great.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you all again. So
thank you, and God bless.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
All right, folks. Till next time. This is Batmo, and this has been the Batcave. God bless.